Hi, today we're going to be cooking with Brussels sprouts. As you probably know, all members of the cabbage family have cancer protective properties, but none more so than the humble sprout. And very unfortunately, it is probably the least appreciated, not only of the cabbage family, but of all vegetables. Most people I know absolutely hate it. But it's not the fault of the Brussels sprout. It's the fault of people who don't really know how to cook it. What often happens is that by the time you've cooked the sprout through, it's become overcooked and it gets soggy and a bit bitter and has a horrible sulfur taste. So what we're going to do today is shred it very finely, which means we can cook it very quickly and thus preserve all its nutrients, its lovely sweet flavour. It actually has quite a mild flavour when it doesn't get overcooked, and its lovely green colour and a crispy crunch. To make Brussels sprouts more palatable, most people cook them with bacon, which does taste delicious. But in the context of an anti-cancer diet, I really don't recommend bacon. It's very salty, it often has added nitrates, and these have been found over and over again to increase the risk of colon cancer. So we're going to be preparing these shredded Brussels sprouts with a few Asian touches, with an extremely flavourful, very satisfying, and actually much healthier, because all the extra ingredients we're going to be using boost the cancer protective properties of this dish. For 4 people you'll need about just over a pound of Brussels sprouts. Clean them up slightly, obviously wash them and remove the outer leaves, especially if they have little blemishes on them. And always do this with fresh Brussels sprouts, they taste so much better than frozen. Here we have half a chopped onion, 2 chopped cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of gomasio. Gomasio is toasted sesame seeds that are toasted with a little bit of salt, semi-ground down, so it's a little bit powdery, and you use them as a condiment. You can buy them in most health food shops. 1 tablespoon of soya sauce, 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, and a good handful of fresh cilantro. And of course, a little knob of ginger as well. I'm using organic ginger, so I'm leaving the peel on because it grates very easily. You don't have to peel it. One useful thing to know when you're cooking with onions and garlic is that you really bring out the cancer-fighting compounds in them by chopping them and letting them sit for 5 or 10 minutes before you start cooking. This activates allicin, which is the compound in all these onion family vegetables that helps to protect us from cancer. We'll start by cooking the onions in a little olive oil. I know this is supposed to be an Asian-inspired recipe, but I use olive oil for pretty much all my cooking, that or coconut oil. And once you heat it, it tends to lose its olivey flavour. So cook the chopped onion for about 4 or 5 minutes until it becomes translucent, then add the garlic. Then you add the garlic and cook it very briefly. It doesn't need to cook much long because it goes bitter after about a minute. So 30 seconds or so, and then remove from the heat. While the onions are cooking, we'll start shredding our Brussels sprouts. I'm using a very basic kitchen processor. None of my recipes require complicated machinery, and this is the very most basic thing you can imagine, just with a little slicing insert. So what we do is we just stuff a few Brussels sprouts into the funnel and there, and I'll just show you what they look like. Come out very finely shredded, just like that, you see? And then we add the shredded Brussels sprouts. And now it's really a matter of stir frying, because this cooks so quickly. If you walk away for too long, it'll burn. You can use a wok for that, for this. It's a bit easier because my pan is obviously not very deep, but I find it works quite well in a skillet, and the cabbage does tend to shrink. So stir fry these fairly actively, and then we also grate the fresh ginger over and mix it in as we're stirring. It's a lovely combination of flavours. And of course, as you may know, ginger and garlic and onion and cabbage all have different anti-cancer effects, which may all actually reinforce each other synergistically. That's called food synergy, and it's a very important concept in cancer protection, not always eating the same anti-cancer foods, but eating a wide variety of them and also combining them in different ways so that they reinforce each other's effects. After about a minute of stirring, you see it's already beginning to shrink down. We add the soy sauce, stir again, just to spread it evenly, and then, to prevent too much moisture from evaporating, we cover it just for a minute or two and stir in between every now and then. So after about 5 minutes of steam frying, and by the way, feel free to add a tablespoon or two of water if the cabbage starts to stick to the pan. Just don't add too much, otherwise you'll end up boiling it, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. We add the sesame oil, gomasio, and the coarsely chopped cilantro. We mix these again very gently because we don't want to crush and squish the cabbage. There. And there you have it. Now let's have a taste. Needs a little bit of acidity. In Zest for Life I write about seasoning, and that acidity is very important in waking up the flavours of a dish. So I'm adding a little bit of Japanese rice vinegar, but rather, and that should really bring it all together. Perfect. So now, just serve this. Don't leave it in the pan because it'll continue cooking. Serve it in a bowl. And you can use this as a side dish, for instance, for any fish dish, chicken, any kind of Asian-inspired meals. It goes beautifully. Decorate it with a little bit of chopped whole cilantro. And there you go. So I hope I've convinced you that it is possible to enjoy Brussels sprouts when you make them this way. My children love it this way. They don't like the whole Brussels sprouts, but they really like them when they're shredded. So I hope this will inspire you to eat them a bit more often. If you have any comments or feedback or questions, or indeed you'd like to suggest a topic for another video in the future, please contact me via my website, which is www.zestforlifediet.com. Click on the author tab and send me an email. Thanks for watching.